Hey everyone, before we dive into today's story, I need to tell you something. What you're about to hear isn't just another tale I found somewhere online. This story came to me from a viewer named Marcus who reached out after watching one of our videos about single parents. He said, "Your stories helped me through my darkest nights. Now I want to share mine." And when I read what he sent me, I cried. I actually cried. Because this story? It's about the kind of love that doesn't give up, the kind of patience that breaks you before it builds you, and the unexpected moment when everything changes in a grocery store aisle at 11 o'clock at night. So if you're going through something right now, if you're waiting for something that feels like it's never coming, please stay until the end. And if this story moves you the way it moved me, hit that like button and subscribe because we share stories like this every week. Now, let me take you back to a cold February evening in Minneapolis. The fluorescent lights of the 24-hour grocery store buzzed overhead as Daniel Mitchell pushed his cart down the cereal aisle. His 5-year-old daughter Emma sat in the cart, her small legs dangling through the metal bars, her favorite stuffed elephant clutched against her chest. It was nearly 11 at night, and the store was almost empty except for a few late-night shoppers and employees restocking shelves. Daniel looked down at his daughter with tired eyes. Her blonde hair was messy, pulled into 2 uneven pigtails that he had attempted to fix 3 times that morning. There was still a faint trace of spaghetti sauce near her chin that he had somehow missed during dinner cleanup. He made a mental note to wipe it off before they left the store, then immediately forgot as Emma pointed at a box of sugary cereal with a cartoon rabbit on it. "Daddy, can we get that one? Please?" Her voice was small but hopeful, the way only a child's voice can be when asking for something they know they probably won't get. Daniel picked up the box and looked at the nutrition label. Sugar was the second ingredient. He thought about saying no, about putting it back and grabbing the healthier option like he always did. But something about the hopeful look in Emma's eyes made him pause. It had been a hard week. Actually, it had been a hard 3 years. 1 box of sugary cereal wasn't going to hurt. "Just this once," he said, placing it in the cart. Emma's face lit up like he had just given her the moon. "Thank you, Daddy. You're the best daddy in the whole world." Those words hit him somewhere deep, in that place where all his doubts lived, where all his fears about whether he was doing this parenting thing right kept him awake at night. He leaned down and kissed the top of her head, breathing in the strawberry scent of her shampoo. "You're pretty great yourself, kiddo," he whispered. They continued through the store, Daniel checking items off the mental list he kept in his head. Milk, bread, eggs, chicken. The basics. The things that kept a household running. He had become efficient at this over the years, learning to shop quickly and strategically, always keeping one eye on Emma and the other on the deals and discounts that helped stretch his budget a little further. He was reaching for a gallon of milk when he heard a crash from the next aisle over, followed by a small gasp. Without thinking, he left his cart and walked around the corner to see what had happened. A woman was crouched on the floor, surrounded by at least 20 jars of pasta sauce that had somehow tumbled off the shelf. Glass and red sauce were everywhere, and she was frozen in the middle of it all, looking at the mess with wide eyes and what Daniel recognized immediately as the expression of someone who was about to cry but was trying very hard not to. She looked up when she heard him approach, and Daniel felt something shift in his chest. She had dark curly hair that fell past her shoulders, and eyes that were somewhere between brown and gold, the color of autumn leaves just before they fall. She was wearing a nurse's uniform, the kind with colorful patterns, and there was a name tag pinned to her chest that read Mia. "I'm so sorry," she said quickly, her voice shaking slightly. "I just reached for 1 jar and the whole shelf came down. I don't even know how that happened." Daniel looked at the mess, then back at her. "Are you okay? Did any of the glass get you?" She looked down at herself, checking her hands and arms. "No, I think I'm fine. Just embarrassed. And tired. Mostly tired." "Night shift?" Daniel asked, nodding toward her uniform. Just finished a double. 16 hours. I stopped to grab something for dinner and somehow managed to destroy the entire pasta sauce section. She laughed, but it was the kind of laugh that was one wrong word away from turning into tears. Daniel did something then that surprised even himself. He walked through the mess, glass crunching under his work boots, and bent down next to her. "Here," he said, "let me help you clean this up before an employee sees it." "You don't have to do that," she said, but he was already picking up the unbroken jars and setting them aside. "I know I don't have to. But I've had those days too. The ones where everything just falls apart, sometimes literally." He smiled, and she smiled back, and something passed between them that neither of them could name. They worked together in silence for a minute, setting aside what could be saved and creating a pile of broken glass and ruined sauce. A store employee eventually appeared with a mop and a resigned expression, telling them not to worry about it, that things like this happened all the time. But by then, Daniel and Mia were already talking, really talking, the way strangers sometimes do when they meet at the exact right moment. "Daddy?" They both turned to see Emma peeking around the corner of the aisle, her stuffed elephant held up in front of her face like a shield. "Hey, baby girl," Daniel said, standing up and walking toward her. "I'm right here. I just came to help this nice lady." Emma lowered the elephant and studied Mia with the unfiltered curiosity that only children possess. "You have pretty hair," she announced after a moment. "It's like a princess." Mia laughed, a real laugh this time, the kind that crinkled the corners of her eyes. "Thank you. I love your pigtails. Did your mommy do those for you?" The question was innocent, asked without any knowledge of the weight it carried. Daniel felt the familiar tightening in his chest, the one that always came when people assumed Emma had a mother at home waiting for her. "My daddy did them," Emma said matter-of-factly. "I don't have a mommy. But that's okay because daddy makes really good pancakes." Mia's expression shifted, understanding dawning in her eyes. She looked at Daniel with a mixture of surprise and something else, something that might have been admiration. "Pancakes are very important," she said seriously to Emma. "What shape does he make them?" "Sometimes hearts. Sometimes circles. He tried to make a bunny once but it looked like a blob." Emma giggled at the memory. Daniel shook his head, smiling despite the small ache that still lived beneath his ribs. "It was a very artistic blob," he said. "Abstract art." They finished cleaning up, or at least finished pretending to help while the employee did most of the actual work. Daniel should have said goodbye then. He should have taken Emma back to their cart, finished shopping, and gone home to their small apartment where dishes waited to be washed and laundry waited to be folded and a million other responsibilities waited to remind him that his life had no room for anything unexpected. But something made him pause. "I hope the rest of your night is better than the pasta sauce situation," he said to Mia. She smiled, and there it was again, that shift in his chest, like something waking up after a long sleep. "I hope your daughter enjoys her sugary cereal," she replied, nodding toward the box visible in his cart. "You saw that?" "I see everything. It's a nurse thing." She winked at Emma. "You've got a good daddy there." Emma nodded solemnly. "I know. He's the best daddy in the whole world." They parted ways then, Daniel heading to the checkout and Mia disappearing somewhere in the back of the store. He told himself it was nothing, just a random encounter with a stranger, the kind of thing that happened in grocery stores every day and meant nothing beyond the moment. But that night, after Emma was asleep and the apartment was quiet, Daniel found himself thinking about autumn-colored eyes and the way a stranger's laugh had made him feel like maybe, just maybe, he wasn't as alone as he thought. To understand why that moment in the grocery store mattered so much, I need to take you back 3 years, to the day Daniel's whole world fell apart. Daniel had met Sophie in college. She was everything he thought he wanted, beautiful, confident, full of dreams about traveling the world and doing something meaningful with her life. They fell in love quickly, the way young people do, and got married 6 months after graduation. The first few years were good. Not perfect, but good. They both worked long hours, saving money, building a life. When Sophie got pregnant, Daniel thought it was the beginning of something beautiful. He imagined family dinners and birthday parties and lazy Sunday mornings with a child climbing into bed between them. Emma was born on a Tuesday in March, and Daniel fell in love for the second time in his life. He looked at his daughter's tiny face and knew, with a certainty that surprised him, that he would do anything for her. Anything at all. Sophie struggled after the birth. Daniel noticed it right away, the way she seemed distant, the way she sometimes looked at Emma with an expression he couldn't read. He suggested therapy, doctor's appointments, help from her mother. Sophie refused all of it, insisting she was fine, just tired, just adjusting. When Emma was 2 years old, Daniel came home from work to find a note on the kitchen counter. "I can't do this anymore. I'm not cut out to be a mother. I'm sorry. Please don't try to find me. Don't try to find me. It's better for everyone this way." There was no other explanation. No forwarding address. No way to contact her. Sophie simply vanished from their lives like she had never existed at all, leaving behind a confused husband and a toddler who kept asking where mommy went. The first few months were a blur. Daniel went through the motions of living while feeling like he was dying inside. He took Emma to daycare and went to work and picked her up and made dinner and read bedtime stories, all while trying to understand how the woman he had loved could just leave, could just walk away from their daughter without looking back. His mother helped as much as she could, driving the 2 hours from her home to stay with them on weekends. His sister called every day to check on him. His friends from work covered his shifts when Emma got sick, which seemed to happen constantly those first few months, as if her tiny body was processing the loss in the only way it knew how. Daniel filed for divorce and was granted full custody. Sophie never contested it. She never even responded to the paperwork. Her lawyer handled everything on her behalf, and Daniel learned later that she had moved to another state, started a new life, become a different person who had nothing to do with the family she had left behind. Emma asked about her mother constantly at first. "Where did mommy go? When is mommy coming back? Did mommy go to the store? Did mommy go to work? Is mommy coming home for my birthday?" Daniel never knew what to say. He tried honesty, telling Emma that mommy had to go away and couldn't come back. He tried distraction, changing the subject to toys and cartoons and trips to the park. He tried comfort, holding Emma when she cried and promising her that daddy would never leave, that daddy would always be there, that daddy loved her enough for 2 parents. Eventually, the questions stopped. Emma accepted her reality the way children do, with a resilience that both broke Daniel's heart and filled him with pride. She stopped asking about mommy and started talking about her friends at daycare, her teachers at preschool, the dog she wanted to adopt someday. But Daniel knew the wound was still there, hidden beneath the surface. He saw it in the way Emma clung to him when he dropped her off in the morning, the way she panicked if he was even a few minutes late picking her up. He saw it in the way she watched other children with their mothers, a look of quiet longing on her face that she probably didn't even understand herself. He promised himself that he would be enough for her. He would be both parents, would fill every role, would love her so completely that she would never feel the absence of the mother who had chosen to leave. But late at night, in the darkness of his empty bedroom, Daniel let himself admit the truth. He was tired. He was lonely. He was doing his best, but his best often felt like it wasn't enough. He watched other parents at Emma's preschool, the ones who came in pairs, who shared the burden of drop-offs and pickups and sick days. He watched couples in the park, laughing together while their children played, and felt an ache that went deeper than he wanted to admit. He had tried dating once, about a year after Sophie left. His sister had set him up with a coworker, a nice woman named Jennifer who smiled a lot and asked all the right questions. They went to dinner, and Daniel spent the entire time thinking about Emma, wondering if she was okay with the babysitter, wondering if she had eaten her vegetables, wondering if she was asking for him. When Jennifer asked if he wanted to do it again sometime, Daniel had said yes without meaning it. When she texted him the next day, he made excuses. When she stopped texting, he felt relief more than regret. After that, he stopped trying. He told himself he was too busy, that Emma needed all his attention, that he didn't have room in his life for romance. He told himself that someday, when Emma was older, when things were easier, maybe then he would think about dating again. But truthfully, he was afraid. Afraid of letting someone in. Afraid of being hurt again. Afraid of trusting someone with his heart and his daughter, only to watch them walk away like Sophie had. So he built walls. He focused on Emma, on work, on getting through each day. He became the single dad at the school who politely declined when other parents tried to set him up with their single friends. He became the guy at work who never talked about his personal life, who kept his head down and did his job and went home to his daughter every night. He was fine. He was stable. He was safe. And he was desperately, achingly lonely. Then he met a woman covered in pasta sauce at 11 o'clock at night, and something inside him that he thought was dead started to wake up. 2 weeks after the grocery store incident, Daniel was sitting in his car in the hospital parking lot, trying to convince Emma that the doctor's office was not, in fact, a torture chamber. "It's just a checkup," he said for the 4th time. "Dr. Patterson is going to look in your ears and your throat and make sure you're healthy. That's all." Emma shook her head, her arms crossed over her chest, her expression stubborn. "I don't want to go. My ears are fine. My throat is fine. We should go home." Daniel suppressed a sigh. This had been a battle since Emma was old enough to remember what happened at doctor's visits. The shots, the poking, the strange instruments. She hated all of it, and no amount of reassurance seemed to help. "Tell you what," he said, trying a different approach. "If you're brave today and let the doctor do his checkup, we'll stop for ice cream on the way home. Any flavor you want." Emma considered this. "Even cookie dough?" "Even cookie dough. With sprinkles?" "As many sprinkles as they'll give us." She was quiet for a moment, weighing the pros and cons like a tiny negotiator. Finally, she sighed dramatically. "Fine. But if there are shots, the deal is off." "There are no shots today. I promise." They walked into the building together, Emma's small hand gripping his tightly. The waiting room was crowded, filled with other children and their parents, the air thick with the smell of hand sanitizer and anxiety. Daniel found 2 empty chairs in the corner and settled Emma into one of them, pulling out her tablet and headphones so she could watch cartoons while they waited. He was scrolling through his phone, answering a work email, when he heard a familiar voice. Well, if it isn't the pasta sauce hero. Daniel looked up, and there she was. Mia. The nurse from the grocery store. She was wearing scrubs again, this time with a pattern of cartoon dinosaurs, and her curly hair was pulled back in a ponytail that made her look younger than she probably was. "Mia," he said, surprised. "You work here?" "Pediatric nursing," she said, smiling. "This is my floor. What are you doing here?" "5-year-old checkup," Daniel said, nodding toward Emma, who was completely absorbed in her tablet and hadn't noticed Mia at all. "She's not thrilled about it." Mia laughed softly. "Most kids aren't. But Dr. Patterson is great with reluctant patients. He has a magic trick with tongue depressors that never fails to distract them. I'll take all the distraction we can get." There was a pause, the kind of pause that happens when 2 people want to keep talking but aren't sure how to make that happen naturally. Daniel was about to say something, anything, when Mia spoke first. "I never got your name that night. At the grocery store." "Daniel. Daniel Mitchell." "Well, Daniel Mitchell, I'm glad you're here. And not just because your daughter is adorable." She glanced at Emma, then back at him. "That was really nice, what you did. Helping me clean up that mess." Most people would have just walked away. Most people aren't raised by a mother who believes in being a good neighbor, Daniel said. She would have appeared out of nowhere to lecture me if I hadn't helped. Mia laughed again, and Daniel realized how much he liked the sound of it. Sounds like a good mom. The best, he agreed. She's the reason I know anything about parenting at all. Emma Mitchell, a nurse, called from the doorway leading to the examination rooms. Daniel stood, reaching down to gently remove the headphones from Emma's ears. That's us, baby girl. Time to go. Emma looked up, saw the doorway, and immediately grabbed Daniel's hand with both of hers. You'll stay with me the whole time? The whole time, he promised. I'm not going anywhere. They started walking toward the door, but Daniel paused and turned back to Mia. It was nice seeing you again, he said, and meant it more than he probably should have. You too, Mia said. Then, almost impulsively, she added, I work the day shift on Tuesdays and Thursdays. In case, you ever need medical advice or want to discuss the structural integrity of grocery store shelves. Daniel smiled, really smiled, for the first time in longer than he could remember. I'll keep that in mind. The checkup went better than expected. Dr. Patterson was indeed magical with tongue depressors, and Emma was so distracted by his card tricks that she barely noticed the examination happening. Daniel thanked the doctor, thanked the nurses, and fulfilled his promise by taking Emma to the ice cream shop down the street. But the whole time, he was thinking.